Ford and UAW have reached a tentative deal to end the strike. As for GM and Stellantis, not so fast. How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about Ford and United Auto Workers, UAW, reaching a tentative deal to end the strike. Now, as I said from the beginning, GM and Stellantis, which is the parent company of Chrysler, are still in negotiations. They still have the strike going on. This is just for Ford. Now, I think when all the smoke clears, even after the Ford deal, after GM, after Stellantis, this will have cost the auto industry tens of billions of dollars. So it's in all their best interest to have this strike come to an end pronto. And of course, this is going to raise prices of your Ford F-150, of your Ford Explorer, if they still make those. This is going to raise the price of your Ford Mustang. This is going to make things go even higher than what they are right now. Have you been to a dealership lately and tried to get a truck new for anything less than $65,000, $70,000? I'm talking about base model regular trucks, steel wheels, cloth seats, no fuss, no muss, no frills, barely even have four-wheel drive on a half-ton pickup. You're talking about $55,000 out the gate, bare base model. This will cause prices to rise. Now, before we get into more detailed analysis, let's look at an article right here from Reuters. You see the headline: Ford and UAW reach tentative deal to end strike, including record pay raise. Now, I reported on this strike right when it was first cracking, and UAW wanted a 40% raise over a period of time, of course, but a 40% raise. Now, for GM, Stellantis were like, I will give you about 20, 21, 22 max. I think they have met right in the middle, at least for Ford. Now, I'm not quite sure what they're going to do with GM and Stellantis, but Ford has met them right at about 30%. But we're going to get into all the details of that in just one moment. So you see what's going on here. It says that the proposed accord, which UAW's leadership must still approve, provides a 25% wage hike over the 4.5-year contract, starting with an initial raise of 11%. Now, the cost of living adjustment could cause that 25% to go to 30%. So that's right in the middle. Like I said, UAW wanted 40%. Ford, GM, Stellantis said about 20, so 30 is pretty much right in the middle, and that's kind of where I thought that they would land when it was all said and done. I think that'll be the same thing that eventually takes place with GM and Stellantis. Now, another thing, matter of fact, see right there, it's 33% when you're talking about compounding and cost of living mechanisms. So it can go even higher than the 30% that I said. It could go to 33%. All right. So that is a significant pay increase over a 4.5-year contract. And you will feel that when you go to the dealership trying to get a brand new F-150, Ford Mustang, whatever you want, you will feel it. Absolutely. And any other vehicle that may be affected, you will feel this. Now, one more thing that they did was remove some of the lower tiers of pay. So that was a big issue in the negotiation. They were saying, hey, we need to eliminate the lower tiers. So since there won't be a very low tier of pay for some of the workers, they will get bumped up to what the higher tier pay was. So that will cause them to see a raise of more than 150%. So shout out to them. I think these are for the temp workers, the very low paid people. It says, well, I'm not sure what it says right here as far as temp or if you are a permanent employee, but that's basically what that is, because that was part of the protest. Let's end the tiered pay. That was a really big thing. All right. Now, let me see. It says UAW also succeeded in eliminating lower paid tiers of workers in certain parts operations at Ford, an issue Fain highlighted from the start of the bargaining process, wearing T-shirts with the slogan, like I said, in tiers. Now, there's more to this article, but we're going to keep on going here and go to a video. And of course, I will link to this video and the article we just skimmed through in the description box if you want to read it for yourself. And this will also be and a link in the bio on IG. But without further ado, let's go ahead and roll it.
UAW and Ford reaching a tentative deal to end a nearly 6-week strike with the automaker. Phil LeBeau joins us this morning with all of the details that have been coming out overnight. Good morning.
Good morning, Andrew. This is a deal that came together. The final push was this week after the UAW called out a couple of strikes, one at Stellantis, one at GM, at some very profitable plants. Ford looked around and said, we're reporting earnings on Thursday. They're going to be strong. We want to be next in line for another strike. They finalized the deal. Tentative agreement calls for.
Okay, so they're talking about they were doing pretty well, selling them F-150s off the lot pretty well. So let's go ahead and do the deal right now. We don't want to get deeper into the strike. Let's make it happen. Like I said, they were offering right around 20. That was their initial counter offer, right around 20% pay increase over the 4.5-year contract. But since the strike was happening, they didn't want to lose any more billions of dollars. Like I said, it was reported at about 9.2. Rather than doing that, let's make the deal happen right now and get ahead of all the potential nonsense that could happen.
For a 25% pay hike over the next 4.5 years, goes over 30% when you add in cost of living adjustments. They're also reducing the number of wage tiers, a big push by the UAW, and there's more profit sharing for retirees. Here's UAW President Shawn Fain talking with the membership last night on Facebook.
Now, before Mr. Shawn Fain gets to talking, now I wonder how that works as far as the profit sharing for retirees. Is this the pension is profit sharing part of the pension? So if that goes up, does your pension increase? That'd be a good thing for you guys who know more about that to answer in the comments below. If you could, please and thank you. Let's keep on going.
We send this contract to you because we know it breaks records. We know it will change lives. But what happens next is up to you all.
All right, so what is next for the UAW members who have been on strike? Some of them have been on strike since September 15th. They will go back to work soon. Exactly when remains to be seen, but they're not going to wait until it's finalized. The contract is ratified. The details will be spelled out for the membership on Sunday, and the ratification vote will take place after that. That remains to be seen. Likely in the next week and a half, you will see them do some type of ratification vote. But again, the important part here is that they will go back to work soon, a matter of days, not waiting until it's finalized, whether that's a week and a half from now. All of this comes as you take a look at shares of Ford at a time when the company will be reporting its Q3 results. They come in after the bell, and there will be a conference call. Analysts are expecting earnings that are going to be up about 50%. 50% compared to the third quarter of last year.
Now, how is that even possible? I want to know, for you guys that are really involved with the finance world, with business, if you've been watching Ford, how is that even possible to go up that much with the rising cost of these vehicles? I mean, the dealership price is out of control. It's not as bad at Ford as it is at, let's say, maybe like Dodge Ram, somewhere like that. Maybe even Toyota is getting pretty high. But good grief, 50%, that's wild. So if those are the expected earnings, 50% versus Q3 of 2022 last year, they're going to have to do the deal. They can't just keep the strike going and then lose money when they obviously have the money to be able to pay.
Still strong demand, still strong pricing, especially on the F-150 and the SUVs. And as a result, that's going to be the focus of the conference call today. Not necessarily the Q3 results, but the impact of this contract agreement between the UAW and Ford. Again, that call is after the bell. They release after the bell, and then later tonight we'll get the Ford call. As for GM and Stellantis, they still have strikers in front of their plants. Three final assembly plants for General Motors.
So you see right there at the bottom, it says UAW strike has stopped 15% of GM U.S. production. That's a pretty big chunk.
2 for Stellantis. For GM, that strike has knocked out or stopped about 15% of its production in the United States. And for Stellantis, these strikes have now stopped about 11% of its production here in the U.S. So, guys, 1 down, 2 to go. Let's see how long it takes for the UAW to strike a deal with GM and Stellantis.
All right, so there's more to that video right there, but that's a general gist of what's happening. Again, the strike is effectively over. There's a tentative deal that still has to get approved and everything, the final few little chapters of it, but I think it's pretty much done. Again, the ask from UAW was about a 40% raise over the 4.5-year contract. The counter offer from Ford, GM, Stellantis, respectively, was right around 20 to 22%. At the end of it, the base agreement, I suppose, would be 25%. And when you factor in other factors, cost of living, etc., that 25% can go to 33%. So that is a pretty good middle ground, I would suppose. But as I close, I want to say this. Shout out to the workers, I suppose, for making this happen. This will cause the cost of your new vehicles to rise, and I will suppose auto parts as well. This is just part of inflation, really. Something that we could have all predicted. When you keep printing and spending money out of, like, you're printing money out of thin air, the result of this is going to be inflation. Is what we have going on right now. There's no surprise. None whatsoever. You're going to have strikes. You're going to have wage increases. You're going to have these things. Remember, at one point, it was fight for 15 for minimum wage. Then it became fight for 20. At a certain point, you're going to see 30, 40, 50. And then you got to think, okay, once human beings become so expensive to the point where it's not even profitable for us to remain in business, how much would it cost to replace that human with a machine? I think that's the next step. But as of right now, shout out to the workers who are able to get more money. Hopefully you'll be able to sustain it, because ultimately at the end of the day, if Billy Joe and ABL and everybody else cannot afford to buy an F-150 for $100,000, your gravy train, if I might call it that, or your pay increase is going to come to a quick end. But I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? What's your take on the deal that UAW has struck with Ford? Is it a good thing, bad thing? Whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments below. You guys know where I'm at. This is good for the workers who are going to make the money, but my question would be, how long will this actually last? And what I don't want to happen is for us to have to bail these companies out again. Remember 2008, we bailed out Ford, GM, Stellantis. We bailed them out. So is it going to happen again? And if that happens again, all we're going to do is have more and more inflation. Then they're going to say, well, the 33% wasn't enough. The 40% that we asked for from the beginning wasn't enough. We needed 100% raise and a 200% raise. And you're going to raise the cost of the vehicles to be able to pay for it. You're going to raise the cost of this, raise the cost of that. You're making lateral moves, because when you raise your wages through these means, sometimes you're going to create raises and other things that you need to be able to live every day. So it just kind of becomes useless. You print all the money in the world, but the money has not increased in value. So if you printed $1,000, all you had is $1, it's going to take $1,000 to pay for the thing that the $1 had. And if you had $1 saved in your banking account, it becomes worthless. That's what's going on in my humble opinion. But whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.